Welcome to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We are the largest grassroots advocacy network for people with mental illness and their family members, with over 800 national affiliates and 15 Kansas affiliates, with NAMI Wichita being one of those 15. We provide awareness, support, education, and advocacy for people affected by mental illness. Our purpose here is to provide a community conversation on KSUN Community Radio that provides insight into what it's like to live with mental illness. Our intention and our hope is that our program will change attitudes, assumptions, and stereotypes about people with mental health conditions. My name is David Larson. I am pleased and proud to be your host today, and I am a person with mental illness. I am in recovery for major depressive disorder. Like everyone, I struggle with the ups and downs of emotions and the challenges and changes of being fully human. But I am doing okay, and I know I have many gifts to offer my family, my friends, and my community. And it is my pleasure to introduce It's my pleasure to introduce to our listeners, our guest, Etta. It was wonderful to have you here, Etta.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, Etta, can you share with our listeners what your diagnosis is?
Yes, my diagnosis is bipolar manic depressive disorder with schizophrenic tendency and psychotic features.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
But when were you officially diagnosed with this?
I was officially diagnosed back in 1990.
Okay, and the diagnosis, did it just happen, or did you have family members that encouraged you to get checked out, or?
Well, it kind of happened, and it crept up on me. I worked in the mental health field myself as a certified home health aide and a CNA, and I also work with people with mental and physical disabilities. So at the time, I was very busy working and everything, and I didn't really notice myself that there was an issue because I worked a lot, and I took pride in what I do, so I had a number of jobs that I did.
Okay, and so what other jobs did you do?
I was a cardiology tech for St. Francis Hospital. I was a dishwasher for Spaghetti Warehouse. I am also a musician and a producer and a writer myself. And so I do a lot of things in the community and help other people that have disabilities such as myself.
You are a busy young woman.
Yes, I am.
Wow, that is amazing. Tell us about your music.
Our family is Rudy Love and the Love family, and I come from a large family. There were 17 of us, and everybody is musically inclined, and we've been in the industry for a long time. My dad was a recording artist and recorded with Chess Records, and he'd done a song called Good Morning Little Schoolgirl that was covered by Eric Clapton and the Yardbirds, and is what's responsible for Eric Clapton and the Yardbirds being on the map.
Okay, and you are named
after Etta James.
After Etta James.
Yes, my dad performed and recorded with Etta James.
That is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I can't even begin to imagine the experience of recording with Etta James. That is tremendous.
Amazing.
Yes. Let's see, what else can we talk about?
Well, I want to say that, like I said, coming from such a musical family and there being so many of us, I had to learn early on how to adapt to certain situations that would be going down in the home, especially since our family were in the music industry and often in the media. So each one of us have a part in the business, and it's kind of like by God's design that each and every person has their own place. And so I happened to be the one that did a lot of the research that was responsible for the documentary that was just premiered for us at the Orpheum Theater.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, so there was a documentary recently.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So what is your specialty, as it were, when it comes to music? Are you a vocalist, keyboard, what?
I'm kind of like all over, but most of the time I like to stay in the background and handle the paperwork and the business side of the music. I do play violin and keyboard a little, and I write and, like I said, produce and promote. And I'm really responsible for just keeping the family together most of the time.
That is wonderful. Okay, well, I want to take a moment to offer a big thank you to our production team, David Peterson, our executive producer. Hello, David.
Hello.
And Mike Padilla, Rhymes with Tortilla, our technical producer.
Hello.
Hello. Well, this is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio, and we're going to be taking a short break, and we will be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Our Own Voice is intended to humanize the misunderstood, highly stigmatized topic of mental illness by showing that it's possible and common to live well with a mental health condition. So, Etta, we were talking with you earlier about your diagnosis. What changes and challenges have you experienced because of that diagnosis, and how have you risen above those?
I think the biggest challenge has been how to communicate with your family and your friends about the mental illness and how it affects you from day to day and how it cycles. Even though you have medication, there's no guarantee that you won't have a day where sometimes you're a little bit off and a little bit delusional because a lot of that goes with it.
Okay. Can you explain to our listeners what cycle means? I know, but the listeners may not.
I would say that it's just kind of not being yourself and kind of it's really kind of hard for me to explain because when I look at bipolar manic depressive illness, I look at it from a number of points of view. And being that I've had it all my life, I can look back on my youth and remember that I was challenged with hearing the voices in my head. And people say, well, you heard voices in your head? And I used to ask my mom, I said, does people's brain just talk all the time? And she was telling me, well, yeah, your brain thinks, and I think she just kind of misunderstood where I was coming from with the voices.
Okay, but the cycling basically is the emotions, the ups and downs that you have from the manic depressive bipolar.
Yes, from day to
diagnosis.
day, you can go from being very depressed and isolated to being very bubbly and overly excited about things.
And your when you're in your manic phase, do you get a lot of work done?
I do. I clean up a lot.
Okay.
I one time before I really realized what was going on, I cleaned for 7 days straight with
Wow.
no sleep, nothing to eat, because your brain doesn't identify with the fact that you need to eat or sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a bedroom that needs cleaning. You can come down and clean my bedroom for me. So what other challenges have you faced?
Well,
of this?
being in like I said, a musical family and stuff, I think what happened to me most often than not, it was hard for the psychiatric team that I have to distinguish between when I was having grandiose thinking or as to whether I was telling the truth about my family and how famous my family is and my dad is. So there were times where I was locked up one time in Kansas City, and if it hadn't been for a doctor that was from Wichita, Kansas, knowing that I really was a part of Rudy Love and the Love family, I don't know if I'd have ever made it out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because they were assuming that you were
I was running around, I was making it up that my dad was this famous singer and I was a
Oh,
part of this musical family, and I had work that I needed to get done, and it was pressing, you know.
yeah, but you've risen above all this.
Yes,
You
I have.
have done some amazing things.
Yes, as a matter of fact, like I was saying earlier, the documentary that was just released called "This Is Love" by the Love family, and with Sean Rhodes and J.C. Guest and John Alexander and John Hulmuth and Rudy Love and the Love family. It's been a great experience for me, and it's exciting because I did 28 years worth of research,
Wow,
Fantastic.
28 years.
and I continue to research.
That is tremendous. What I'm going to start you on telling us about Breakthrough Club, and then we're going to take a break and go on. But go ahead and start sharing with us about what you do at the Breakthrough Club.
Okay, at Breakthrough Club, we're a part of being colleagues with one another who have mental illnesses, and it's a club that we can go to where we share our ideas and our talents, and we are able to go back into the community feeling like a profitable part of the community because they put us back to school, they put us to work, and we all as members keep the clubhouse going.
Okay. And what chores or tasks do you happen to do?
Well, I like to work in the kitchen. As you know, I come from a family that loves to entertain and cook.
Okay.
And I also do business, like the business work, copying papers, filing papers.
Okay. Yeah. So what is your favorite food to cook?
Chicken and dressing.
Ah, that sounds fantastic. Now I'm hungry. Well, let's see, where was I? Oh, chicken and dressing. What else do you like to cook?
Greens, black-eyed peas,
Mm.
cornbread, sweet potato pie, pecan
Sounds
pie.
pretty southern to me.
Yeah.
Vegetarian food, diabetic food. We cook for everybody. Any meat eater, non-meat eater.
All right. Well, we are going to take a break now. This is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio, and we're talking with Etta, and we'll be right back.
If you would like to learn more about the National Alliance on Mental Illness and how you can get involved in mental health advocacy, please visit our website at NAMI.org.
Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Now, before we took our break, Etta, we were talking about Breakthrough Club and all the wonderful dishes that you cook and everything. And you also do office work as well there.
Yes, I do.
All right. What's your favorite task when it comes to office work?
Copying the papers and filing the papers. And then also I am more like quality control. You know, I have a real good eye for detail, so I can tell when maybe the print's a little off or, you know, anything
Misspelled
else.
words.
Misspelled words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need help with that all the time because
Okay.
my spelling is atrocious. It's horrible. So, now you took a recent trip, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I took a trip to Washington, D.C., where I was a part of a USA National Clubhouse Conference, and it was presented by Clubhouse International. And this is where we all get to have a voice and tell our story as to how we became acquainted with Breakthrough Club. And so there were a lot of tremendous stories about things that go on in life, you know, physical and mental and emotional abuse. On top of that, you have the substance abuse and stuff that kind of plays along with mental illness sometimes, not every time, but so it's a place where people can go that are having issues and just want to be able to be heard
Okay.
and to get stronger in their illness.
All right. What are some of the things that you did at the conference? What experiences did you have?
It was like a room with probably over 300 some odd people.
Wow.
And we got the opportunity to become acquainted with the United States Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, and some of the different representatives from Congress, mayors. There was just all walks of life there that are coming together to try to cut down on people having to be institutionalized.
All right. And so you had an active voice in helping with that.
Yes, I did.
That is wonderful. What are some of the? Did you get to see any of the sites in Washington?
We were really kind of quite busy with the conference.
Were you?
And so I really didn't get to see much, but there's a better time for that later.
Okay.
I might add, she was one of 4 from Wichita.
One of 4. Okay.
And she, that's quite an honor.
Yes, it is.
All
I was
right.
glad to be chosen for the opportunity to go and represent. It's something that I've always wanted to do. And believe it or not, when I was running around manic and everything, I was telling people that I was going to go to Washington, D.C., and that I was going to have the opportunity to speak before Congress, and I have.
That is fantastic. All right. You lived out your dream there.
Yes, I have.
That is fantastic. All right. David, you spoke up, and I want to sort of pull you in and ask you, what do you have to tell us?
Well, first of all, I want to tell everybody that beautiful music that you hear coming into the episodes was composed by David Larson.
Thank you.
And I think it should be our trademark. It's just beautiful. But NAMI Wichita has lots of ongoing programs, lots of support groups available. I'm not going to go through them all right now, but I will give you our telephone number. It's 316-686-1373, 316-686-1373. And that's our answering service, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Obviously, don't call there in an emergency, but at the same time, we want to be there to support and help. We have many support groups going, many classes going, and call, and I will give the information on those because we try to help, and we're a nonprofit, basically all volunteer organization, and with either experiencing a mental illness or a family person who has someone in their family that has a mental illness.
Now, the classes that we have include both those dealing with depression or dealing with mental illness, as well as family members.
That is
right?
correct.
And 2 separate types of classes there.
Right. And they are very enlightening. They allow you to become more and more empathetic towards your fellow peers or your fellow family member. And in fact, right now we have a class going on, family to family, that I'm participating in as far as an instructor. And it's just one of those things that you can see people understand that, hey, my son or daughter or loved one has a mental illness, and that's what it is, just like a heart illness or kidney problems or diabetes. Mental illness is just an illness.
Can they help me? Can they help me with my road rage?
We'd certainly like to try if that's the case.
We have anger management classes.
Oh, do we? Okay.
At
Well,
Breakthrough.
that's what I'm going to need, and I think more than one person listening in the audience needs that too.
Well, David and I were talking about that on the way over about this person.
There looked like there was a guy who was having some road rage on the road.
Well, that's
So
like
that wasn't you.
No, it wasn't me.
No, okay.
It could have been though.
I know, actually, and, we don't have time for that. We'll come back to that. This is Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio. Welcome back to Our Own Voice, a partnership in mental health awareness in cooperation with NAMI Wichita and KSUN Community Radio. NAMI is a National Alliance on Mental Illness. Now, Etta, we were talking during the break about some of the statistics that we have concerning mental illness. You want to share with us some of that?
Yes, 1 in every 4 people worldwide struggle with mental illness. And that's why, once again, we're advocating and reaching out to the community, such as the mental health community and crisis centers all around the world, wanting people to have more dialogue about it with their family members. If you feel like there's someone out there that you just know is just not the person that you grew up with, my family were very supportive of me, and they got me to the right help that I needed.
All right. And that leads into another topic, and that is stigma. We were talking about stigma earlier, and the fact is that when people shut down and don't talk about it, that's when stigma tends to rise up and become a problem. So what you were saying is by talking about it, by really discussing it, we're helping to stomp down on stigma.
Yes, we're helping to de-escalate domestic violence, physical and mental abuse, verbal abuse. And it reaches out to every age, every nationality. Mental illness has no color, no age, no size.
No walks, all walks
No
of
height.
life. All walks of life are included.
Yes, your
everything
celebrity
like that.
status doesn't matter. It's just something that we have to work harder to deal with so that we cut down on the crime in a lot of areas.
Yes, exactly. So, what else can you tell us about Breakthrough Club? How do people get involved with Breakthrough?
First of all, you have to come in and you have to fill out an application, and you'll go through making sure that you are in contact with your health care provider who knows about you and has diagnosed you with a mental illness to be a part of the club. So once a member, always a member. I've been a member since 1990. I went away for 21 years and came back 3 years ago, and Breakthrough was there, ready with open arms to accept me in and to get me started back in life.
That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Once they've gone through that,
Once they've gone through the process of doing the paperwork, they'll come back in and they'll let you know whether you're accepted. We'll do an orientation, take you through the club, and introduce you to the different departments that are available to you, this sort of thing.
okay.
So,
Well, now, and I realize I'm jumping around here, but we were talking about stigma, and then we jumped to Breakthrough Club, but back to stigma for a moment. One of the problems that we face with not speaking and talking about this and developing the stigma is that tends to lead into suicide. And just to be serious for a moment, we need people to talk about this so that we can get open and understanding and help. So that's important. So now,
many times people are afraid to speak up because of what it may look like to other people that's going on, when in reality, it is what it is. And so by speaking up, you are really cutting down on a lot of drug overdose, isolation, suicide, like I said, criminal behavior. There's too many of our people locked up in the criminal justice system without anyone to advocate for them. And so a lot of people go into the prisons and the jails with mental illness that are not being adequately diagnosed or taken care of.
that's correct. Exactly. So, David, I'm going to pop back over to you, and you have that number for us again. What is it?
That is 6'8", excuse me.
6'8", excuse me?
Yeah, something like
Let's
that.
try that again.
That's
316.
686-1373. 316-686-1373. And if I could just for a second mention that NAMI, our main goal or proclamation this year is to end stigma.
Yes.
And this is something we are very strong about, that we just feel that, as Etta was saying, that there's just too much going on, that people go into the, get incarcerated and they get overlooked. But the part of that is stigma. And we, as our organization here in Wichita, want to support both peers, those with a mental illness, and the families.
Yes,
That's
we
right.
don't want anybody to fall through the cracks.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for Our Own Voice on KSUN Community Radio. Thank you, Etta, for speaking to us and sharing with us. David, did you have something else to say?
If you can't call the number 686-1373, please check our website, www.namiwichita.org, or see us on Facebook at NAMI Wichita KS.
All right. Thank you very much, and join us next time for Our Own Voice.